fear of the Lord teaches wisdom and humility precedes honor. In the name of God, let's start with the lesson Nationalism in India. Yes, children, in the previous class we have learned the conditions which prevailed during World War I. The war created a new social and political situation. The prices doubled, income taxes were introduced, crops failed in many parts of India, which created an acute shortages of food and which was accompanied by influenza disease, due to which 12 to 13 million people they died. At this stage, a new leader appeared in India with a new mode of struggle. Yes, children, he was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He returned to India in the year 1915 with a new mode of struggle called Satyagraha, which means walking in the path of truth through non-violence. We have also learnt about Rowlatt Act, which gave an enormous power to Britishers to repress political activities by imprisoning the Satyagrahis for 2 years without any trial. Mahatma Gandhi, along with other Satyagrahis, they went on for Rowlatt Satyagraha, but all their revolts, they were being brutally crushed up, and instead martial law was imposed on them, and General Dyer, he became the main commander of this military rule. And on 13th April in Jallianwala Bagh, where people had gathered to attend the annual Baisakhi festival, as well as some people had gathered to discuss against the repressive measures taken by the Britishers. Seeing the large crowd, which was taken as an advantage by General Dyer, and he opened fire on them. As a result, hundreds of people they got killed. Seeing the violent attacks, the Satyagrahis again, especially from the North Indians, they came out of their houses to protest against. But everything went on vain. Seeing the violent attacks made by the Britishers, now Gandhiji wanted up to launch much more wider movement in India. We have also learnt about the Khilafat Committee, which was established by the Muslim brothers Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. Now this Khilafat Committee was established to protect the powers of their Khalifa. Mahatma Gandhi saw this as a good opportunity to unify Hindus and Muslims. Now with the discussion with the other leaders in the Congress, Gandhiji thought of to start up with a wider movement called non-cooperation movement in support of Khilafat as well as to receive Swaraj. This is what we have learnt in our previous class. Now let's start with our new unit, that is differing strands within the movement. In this unit, we shall be learning how this non-cooperation movement got unfolded, who all participated in it, and how the ideas of non-cooperation movement was conceived by different social groups. Let's start with this. Yes, children, non-cooperation movement began in January 1921, which was initiated by Mahatma Gandhi, Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali. Various social groups participated in this movement, each with their own specific variations. The term Swaraj meant different things to different people. Let's see what was the effect of non-cooperation movement in towns. Non-cooperation movement began in cities with the participation of middle classes. Thousands of students, they left their government-controlled schools and colleges. Teachers, headmasters, they resigned. Even the lawyers, they gave up their legal practices. The council elections were boycotted in most of the provinces except in Madras by a party called Justice Party, which was of non-Brahmins. Now this non-Brahmins, they had a belief that by entering in the elections, by winning the elections, they can gain powers. The powers which was of Brahmins. Now let's see what was the effect of non-cooperation movement on economic front. Yes, children, the effects of non-cooperation movement on economic front were very dramatic. The foreign goods, they were boycotted, means people refused to use it. The liquor shops, they were picketed, means the people, they protested, they demonstrated by blocking in front of the liquor shops so that no buying or selling could take place. The foreign goods, they were burnt in huge bonfire. The import of foreign cloth halved between 1921 and 1922. Its value dropping from rupees 102 crores to rupees 57 crores. As the movement it spread all over, the people they started discarding the foreign clothes and started wearing the Indian clothes. Now the Indian businessmen and traders they refuse to trade in foreign goods. The production of Indian textile mills and handlooms it went up. But the demonstrations and protests which was started with non-cooperation movement gradually slowed down. Now let's see what was the reasons for the movement to slow down. Khadi cloth was often more expensive than the mass-produced milk cloth, and which the poor people could not afford to buy it. And boycotting the milk cloth, which was much cheaper, it became a problem before the poor people. Similarly, boycotting the British institution, it created a problem because for a movement to be successful, alternative institutions are to be set up. And as we know, children, we were economically exploited and we were not having enough funds to raise up alternative institutions. So in the lack of alternative institutions, the students, the teachers, they joined back the government controlled schools and colleges, and even the lawyers, they joined back the courts. From the cities, the non-cooperation movement spreaded even towards the countryside. Countryside here means, children, towards the villages. And in different parts of the country, there were struggles shown by peasants and even the struggles shown by tribals. Now let's study the struggle which was shown by peasants in Awadh. In Awadh, children, the peasant struggle was led by Baba Ramchandra, who was a sannyasi, who had been to Fiji as an indentured labor. Indentured means on a contract basis, he has gone to Fiji. And here the movement was against the landlords and the talukdars, those who charged high rents, and various taxes were being taken by the peasants. Here the peasants, they were forcibly made to do the begar. Begar here means, children, they were forcibly made to work without any payment. As tenants also, they had no security over tenure, which means, children, there was no guarantee whether they will be removed or they can remain as laborers in those particular lands. Even they did not have the right over the lands. Now the peasants demanded that there should be abolition of beggar, there should be boycott of this oppressive landlords, and as well as reduction in the revenue. And as this protest started, Nai Dhobi Bans, they were organized by the panchayats so that the landlords, they can be deprived of the services of the barbers and washermen. In June 1920, Jawaharlal Nehru visited the village in Awadh. He talked with the peasants and he tried to understand the grievances of these villagers. And then in the month of October, new Oath Kisan Sabha was organized, which was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru, Ramchandra, and many more leaders. And within a month, over 300 branches of it was set up by the nearby regions of this village. Now Congress wanted to integrate this peasant struggle which was happening in Awadh with the wider movement, the non-cooperation movement. But the peasant movement which was going on in Awadh, it was developed in a form which made the Congress people unhappy with. Let's see how did they go wrong. Yes, children, as the movement spreaded in the year 1921, the peasants, they attacked the houses of landlords, the merchants and the talukdars. Even the bazaars, they were looted, the grain holdings, they were taken over. In many places, the local leaders, they started telling the people that they don't have to pay taxes and even the lands are going to be redistributed. So thus we have seen, children, using Gandhiji's name, all the wrong actions were being taken. Means Gandhiji's name was being invoked to sanction all actions and aspirations, which was never even thought by Gandhiji. Tribal peasants interpreted the message of Mahatma Gandhi and the ideas of Swaraj in yet another way. Let's study about the tribal peasants of Andhra Pradesh. In the Gudam hills of Andhra Pradesh, a militant guerrilla movement spread it in the early 1920s. Yes, children, guerrilla warfare method means secretly attacking the enemies. We have learnt it in our previous classes about guerrilla movement. And this was the type of struggle that Congress could not approve to. Like in other forest regions, here also the Britishers, they closed the forest and these tribal peasants, they could not enter to this forest. They could not graze their cattle over there. They could not collect firewood or they could not collect any forest products. Their livelihood got affected and they felt as if their traditional rights were being denied. The forest which was of theirs, they were being deprived of their lands, and their anger arose when they were told by the Britishers to do beggar, when they were made to do work in their own fields without any payment, and they thought of to revolt. And they were being led by an interesting figure called Alluri Sitaram Raju. Now why he was called interesting, children? Because he claimed special powers. He told that he can make correct astrological predictions. He could heal people and he could even survive bullet shots. Tribal peoples were very much inspired by Raju. They thought him as a representative of God. And now Raju, he was also very much inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. He talked to the people about the greatness of Mahatma Gandhi. He insisted the tribal people to wear khadi and to stop drinking. But his way of attaining Swaraj was taken in another way. Like he told, India could be liberated by Britishers only through violence, through physical force, not through non-violence. And the guerrilla warfare method was adopted by him. And the rebels, they attacked police stations, they even killed British officials. But the tribal people's revolt did not work for long. They got brutally crushed up by the British. Raju was captured and executed in the year 1924, and over time he became a folk hero. Now let's learn about the plantation workers of Assam. Now we'll learn that how did they understood the meaning of Swaraj and how did they participated in the movement non-cooperation. Workers too had their own understanding of Mahatma Gandhi and their ideas of Swaraj. For workers, freedom meant to move in and out of the confined space where they were enclosed. They wanted to have a link with their villages. Under the Inland Immigration Act of 1859, these plantation workers, they could not move out of the tea gardens without permission, and rarely they were given permissions to move out. And when this non-cooperation movement spreaded, when they heard of the messages of Mahatma Gandhi, they defied the British authorities. They told now they are not going to obey to the authorities. And then they left the tea gardens and headed towards their homes. Workers believed that Gandhi Raj was coming and they'll be given land in their own villages. But however, they did not reach their destinations. On the way back home only, they got caught by the police and were brutally beaten. Thus we have learned, children, that different sections in the society got exploited by the Britishers, and each on their own revolted and they got brutally crushed up. We have also learned that the visions of these movements were not clearly defined by the Congress program, and yet Swaraj was taken in a different way by different people. Yet when the tribals chanted the name of Mahatma Gandhi and raised the slogan demanding Swatantra Bharat, they all were emotionally related with the All India agitation movement. With this, we have come to an end of this unit. Children, never stop learning because life never stops teaching.